And then there were four. The Northern Super League is gearing up for its first ever playoffs in its inaugural season. You have the Montreal Roses, who will take on AFC Toronto. That is the city rivalry that keeps on giving. And out west, the Ottawa Rapid meet Vancouver Rise FC. Four teams, one chance at history. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Just Soccer. I'm your host, Andi Petrillo. Let's talk playoffs, because this is the moment we've all been waiting for. To help me do that, let's bring in Amy Walsh, co-host of the Footy Prime podcast. And we are so excited for this. Let's get down to some of these matchups. We've got Vancouver, we've got Ottawa, and Vancouver, let's just say, a little inconsistent all season long, Amy. 1 week they're up, 1 week they're down. Which Vancouver do you think is going to show up?
You look at the head-to-head battles and the matchups between these two teams over the course of the year, it's been very, very even. So it's either a heavyweight slugfest when one team is winning 2 or 3-0, or it's a 3-3 or it's a 3-2 kind of end-to-end barn burner, as we like to say in old Canadian football vernacular. And the last time that Ottawa visited Swangard, they absolutely destroyed Vancouver's backline, finding seams, Dagenet starting with the ball on her foot as the goalkeeper for Ottawa, over the top, flick-ons by Pridham, speed with the wingers, whether it's Friedland or Forbes or the likes of Downing getting into space, who scored that opening goal. You also have Belzile, so they have lots of depth, lots of speed, can go at that back line. But if Vancouver Rise, playing at their best, shows up, then they're going to, I think, thwart an Ottawa Rapid team that is looking to upset them and with more direct play. But it's Dane versus Dane, Katrina Peterson versus Enyer Heiner Moller. So it should be a very interesting matchup. But I think if both teams bring their A game, I think I have to give the nod to Ottawa. And that's because they've done everything that Vancouver has not done. And that's be supremely consistent over the course of this inaugural year.
Pridham going home with a golden boot, 18 goals. Can't wait to see what she can do in the playoffs here. Recently, her name came up because the Canadian women just had a camp. By the way, back-to-back losses, back-to-back shutouts. Pridham can score some goals. Casey Stoney said, hey, they were one injury away from calling her up. But what do you think she can do? What kind of damage do you think she can do in these playoffs?
Pridham, to me, is the ultimate team talisman. She is somebody that other opponents absolutely have to shut down, and even when she's targeted, even when you face an opponent 5 times over the course of this inaugural year, because there's only 5 other franchises when you think about yourselves, teams start to figure you out. You're seeing that with Mina, the attacking midfielder for Ottawa. Teams are figuring out how to thwart her movement, how to close down those pockets. But DB, the way that she can score in a myriad of ways, she can get in behind, she can come off that front line, she can link up, she can score with her head, she can score with her left, she can score with her right. She can just do damage. I think she should be given a shot on this women's national team, because when you're a prolific scorer, even in NSL, even in a fledgling league, I think you can see what you can do, or you want to see what that player can do on the international stage. So I think she's just chomping at the bit to do some damage in these playoffs.
Do you think someone else has the ability to just turn things around in this matchup?
For me, it's been Jess DiFilippo. I think she's been absolutely integral to the way that Vancouver want to play. It's an expansive style of play, might leave them occasionally vulnerable at the back. You've got your wingbacks or those lateral fullbacks who bomb on, and Jasmine Spencer and Okamoto on the left. You've got the wingers who kind of roll inside, and Holly Ward and Lisa Pechersky, sometimes playing with the front 4 if you've got Sam Chang pushing up. But DiFilippo as that 9, and then the attacking tandem with Latifa Abdu moving from the Roses over to the Rise, that's a 1-2 punch that I think can make Vancouver real contenders in these playoffs.
All right, let's head out east. AFC Toronto, Montreal Roses. Toronto won the inaugural Supporter Shield, topping the standings. So would you say, because they're the top team, and they held on to that top spot for quite a while, I think it was like the final 15 weeks of the season, is it their playoffs to lose? Without a doubt, are they the ones to beat?
100%, Andi Petrillo. And you saw the celebrations after they lifted the supporter shield. Worthy winners. Marko Milanovic, also just recently named Coach of the Year, also extremely deserving of that honor. But this is a team where Milanovic knows how they want to play, knows what philosophy they want to espouse, and you have the tried and true kind of cemented starters. They also have depth off their bench. Pressure is a privilege as a team that has basically, like, their theme is run it our way. They have run this table all year long after a slightly rocky beginning. So it's their title to lose. But this is a Montreal Roses team that's going to do everything in their power to wreck it. And they certainly have the personnel on the back end, but then also attacking wise, whether it's Boychuk or Pridham or a Charlotte Bilbao now, who is floating a little bit higher to pull the strings, they might have the personnel to maybe to disrupt AFC Toronto's flow.
So with Toronto having been so dominant, what does Montreal have to do to pull off this upset?
I think you have to go back. I think it was a July contest out at York Lions Stadium, and Robert Rassatoyu for the Roses made a couple of tactical tweaks where you had a Megan Sauvé who's been deployed as a left back, occasionally as a left wing back, or even as a winger on the off wing, playing a little bit inverted. So that left footer playing on the right, Tanya Boychuk playing on the left, and pressing, a suffocating press that AFC Toronto didn't really have an answer to. I think they go back to that blueprint. They go back to how they had success, even though they were able to eke out one other win. So I think if Montreal are able to collectively snuff out the attacking menace that AFC Toronto have going up the pitch, at the other end of the pitch, if they can be more clinical, they can attack the box effectively and then bury the chances that they've gotten. I think you have Steph Hill as part of that backline. She made the team of the year in NSL as a rookie. I mean, everybody's a rookie, really, Andi, but I mean, first pro season for Steph Hill, 5 goals, second in the team in scoring, a threat on set pieces. So if Montreal can bury their chances and maybe put AFC Toronto on their heels, they might have a chance in this thing.
A question all analysts just absolutely love. I say that dripping in sarcasm, but now it's time to make a prediction because you know it's totally going to be held against you when the results actually come through. But who do you think is going to be in the final?
Yes, this is a question all analysts love to hate because I'm going to get dragged over the coals regardless, right? But I think I pointed to in the Vancouver and the Ottawa matchup, inconsistency versus consistency. And I think Ottawa, with the way that they've played, the style that they espouse, I think they might emerge, especially over the course of 2 legs, as the victors out of that West Coast matchup, we'll call it. And the Eastern clash, the Supporters Shield winning, table running AFC Toronto, I think it's going to be hard to keep them from, even though it's a neutral site at BMO Field, they're going to treat it as a home game. I think they make it there. So I think the final, November 15th, BMO Field, we'll see home team, kind of in quotes, AFC Toronto versus the Ottawa Rapid. Don't at me.
Great stuff, Amy. Can't wait for the playoffs to start. Those 4 teams making it, and only one will officially make history being crowned the inaugural champion in the Northern Super League. For the fans, we've got the first leg between Montreal, Toronto. That kickoff is at Stade Boreal, 12 p.m. Eastern. Out west, Vancouver take on Ottawa at Swangard Stadium, Tuesday, November 4th at 10 p.m. ET. Stick around, we're not done. Olivia Smith joins us next.
Olivia Smith, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It is so great having you on. And I want to walk down memory lane a little bit before we look at what's going on with you currently, because it's a moment that everyone is still talking about, which of course was at the time that record-breaking transfer. How did you process that move and all the attention that came with it?
Yeah, it was absolutely unreal. Never would I have dreamed that I would become the first either. So it was a big decision for me and my family. Obviously, I've moved quite a lot within the past couple of years. So I'm hoping this is where I'm going to stay for a little bit. But yeah, it was really exciting. A lot of family messaging me, teammates, supporters, everything. So yeah, it's a great experience.
It's always fun watching a Canadian's rise, a journey. But you also brought up a really important point, which is at some point you want to find a home and you want to create that consistency. So do you feel a little bit like that chaos is kind of behind you, but at the same time you're like, yeah, but that's also pro sports. But is it now about trying to find that continuity with the club?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, football's unpredictable. But I feel like Arsenal is a place for me where I want to stay. There's so much more for me to learn, an environment for me to grow, to learn from world-class players in the best league, also to be playing in Champions League consistently. So yeah, it's a big opportunity for me. So I'm hoping next couple of years at least.
Well, you made quite the first impression, quite the arrival, because you scored a spectacular goal in your debut. What do you remember about putting that ball in the back of the net for that? Did you just blank out? Was it like, can you
I mean, all I had
talk
to
me
do,
through it?
yeah, all I had to do was I had quite a bit of space in front of me, looked up at the goal, just went for it. And like I couldn't have pictured it any more perfect. It hit side netting. Don't think any keeper would really save that. So yeah, it was memorable for sure.
But I like how you make it sound like, nah, it was right there. It's like easy because anyone else, that thing's getting toe punted over the ball. Like, you know
Yeah,
this, right?
fair enough. Yeah.
So this is good. This is really good. How would you describe the way you've changed from that player who was just getting started to where you are now? Like, what changes have you seen in your game? Maybe it's a mentality thing. How have you grown?
I think I've definitely grown a lot as a person, and I think a lot of people can say that. Matured quite a bit. In terms of my game, I felt like at Sporting I was still quite raw. So I think going into England, I was able to sharpen up quite a few things, learn more things to add to my game. Um, More strength, physicality, fitness was massive coming into England. So those are definitely areas where I've improved, and also just as a person, becoming more mature, living on my own, further away from home. So yeah.
That's another good point that you bring up, right? Just the physicality of it all, because your skill set is there. It was obvious right from the get-go with the
Mhm.
national team where a lot of people were introduced to you. But then, like other players who had been around for a long time, it's like they knew you were new. And it's almost like they made a point of trying to bulldoze over you. So do you feel like you have grown strength-wise, physical-wise to give it back maybe a little bit too?
Yeah, I definitely think physical, but also mental. For the most part, I'll take it as a compliment because I know what I'm capable of, and really the only way to stop me is to foul me. And mentally, just trying not to let it get to my head and immediately rush up to someone and like, I don't know, lose my head. So I think for the most part, I'm able to stay calm until it gets to maybe 6 or 7. Then I start losing my head a little bit, but still maturing in that sense, so that's okay. But yeah, for the most part, I take it as a compliment.
Think people understand if it starts to get to that number for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I get to the outsider. I always say this, when people always say someone's become an overnight sensation, I'm like, tell me an athlete who's an overnight sensation, and I'll tell you that's the first because you don't exist. There's no such thing as overnight sensations. You're working your tail off from the start, and people will look at your career and go, "Oh, look at this trajectory. It's so awesome." But I'm wondering if you did have moments where you thought, "I'm not going to make it," or this is kind of tough to push through. Did you ever have those kinds of doubts or feelings?
Yeah, there's been a couple, honestly. Definitely a couple hard moments. For example, I can give you one, was not being called back into the national team for what, maybe about 2.5 years. And it was tough being at a young age, hoping to get another call up, not knowing why I haven't been called back up. And I was just wondering, what am I doing wrong? And then things at my club weren't going great. I'd gotten suspended and all this stuff. So mentally, it was really tough, and I didn't even know if I wanted to continue there anymore or play at all. So that was a hard time for both me and my family, just trying to navigate that. And then eventually I just moved out of that environment and found somewhere where I was happy. But yeah, there's definitely been a lot of ups and downs, but that's just one example.
Yeah. Who got you through it?
My family, my mom and my dad and my sister were big
Yeah.
pieces in that, just trying to keep me happy. Meanwhile, everything else was going on in the background, but what they could have done outside of the football world, just supporting, giving love, yeah, distracting me.
I love it. All right, so you lived across Europe, and as you mentioned, for such a young age now, you've been away from home. But if there's one thing about home you miss, what is so Canadiana? Where you're like, this is what every time I come back home to Canada, I need this.
That's a great question. This is like, I feel like it's really cliche, but like proper maple syrup.
Yeah.
And like
Legit.
I've done like an interview or I've done like media stuff when I was away on camp with Arsenal, and I was so shocked that there's no maple syrup to go with pancakes. Like they'd have honey, but no maple syrup.
No, girl.
So like I did an
that's
interview and they
abuse.
brought me proper maple syrup, so I was so happy. So I'm all
Well,
stocked up.
at least they fixed the problem. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all good now. Let's have a little bit of fun here, because culture seems to always, blend in with sport, which is awesome. And Bend It Like Beckham too, by the way, very excited about this, is officially happening. And you've talked before about how this film inspired you. So please hold. If they were to cast an Olivia Smith in the sequel, so first of all, what would your story arc be? And I wonder like who you would think would play you.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'd want Zendaya to play me because it's Zendaya. But is she an athlete?
Cool.
Maybe not. But anyway, that's not the point. I'd have Zendaya.
She was in some tennis film, wasn't she? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, she was. I think like the backstory of it all would essentially be like having to move club to club, rejection, but finding a way to work past that to, find, for example, like my sporting where I really flourished. If that makes sense.
It does, because that's real talk. Again, that's real talk. That's like, this is the sporting world. It's not awesome all the time. Ups and downs, and you just stick with it. It's been great watching your career so far. You are not even close to hitting your ceiling. It's so exciting.
Not yet.
Yes, to see where you can go. And really appreciate you taking the time here on Just Soccer.
Of course. Thank you.